Knowledge. My name is Diana Diaco Cervantes. I am the president of North American Association of Sales Engineers, and I'm here to host our February event. My name is Diana Diaco Cervantes. I am the president of North American. And today we have our guest here with Mark Stevens from Champion Recruiting to help me guide you through our event for this session about uh, our session for where is it? I'm trying to get this through. Are talking about resumes and what works and what doesn't in 2025. So a little bit about our housekeeping today. So what we're going to do is we're going to stream live. We have our chat going on, so live chat. So if you have any questions, I will be monitoring that for today. And so if you have any questions, please type it in. We will also have some Q&A at the end of the session. So please, put your questions in there. And Mark, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, and we'll get started with our discussion points and start talking.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Stevenson, founder of Champion Recruiting, and I've also got a new company called RepSheet.ai. We all have AI, but I'm probably the only company out there that will tell people that I do not have AI yet. We're working on it. But anyway, Champion Recruiting's been around for 13 years now. We've got about 50 or so clients around the US. Usually most of them are A and B round clients. We do anything from VPs of sales, chief revenue officers, all the way down sales engineers to ISRs. I do not do SDRs because they require me to go to therapy afterwards, so I don't do SDRs, but drive me nuts. But Mark, can you give me 3 interviews? I'm going to Europe for 2 weeks, but when I come back, can you get me three? That's not how it works, I don't know who told you that, but outside recruiters like us, here's the hardest thing to remember about outside recruiters is we only work with, we have to get paid, right? And who pays us? The companies pay us. So a lot of people don't understand that we cherry pick the top 10% of people. We might go down to top 20 if we have to. So the hardest thing is people get frustrated because why aren't these outside recruiters responding to me? I'm great. And it's like you have to be completely honest with yourself. I always tell people, like, listen, it's like college or high school. You either got A's or B's or C's or D's, right? In high school and college, right? And that's the same thing in the real world. As a sales engineer, are you an A or B or C or D player, right? And we only deal with A players, and we don't get paid. We're paid 20% of base salary contingency, right? So if a sales engineer, talented one, 3, 4, 5 years out, 150K base, right? So we get 30K fee, and our clients, they yell at me, they scream at me if I toss them a B. So I have to protect myself and my clients. So I'm cherry picking. So that's just the way it works. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So you have awesome experience in a lot of the resume realm and a lot of the latest trends in hiring. So you are going to be an awesome person to give us a lot of the tips and tricks and feedback on some of that stuff. So as we get into our topics, I think discussion. So get ready, everyone. Yeah, it's a great segue into getting us to our discussion topics. So we started talking earlier in the year about AI and how it's relevant to a lot of the roles and what humans play in the workforce. And it's a great topic to go into and how that impacts the resume, how you get seen by hiring managers and how you get found, essentially. So in our discussion today, we're going to talk about the resume itself, a lot of the things that are going on around the resume, how people write resumes these days. It's no longer just putting pen to paper or keyboard, fingers to keyboard, how people perceive you, how you get seen, how you get found. And that's where Mark is going to be a great person to talk to about. And then how do you get hired again? So one of the great the great debate these days is the power of AI and how it's getting people involved in telling a little bit more of the fibs, just to um, stand out a little bit more. I was reading an article about in Standout CV. It's a publication online, and we can share all of these resources. But they were saying that people lying on resumes has increased significantly. Around college credentials and references, and so people are lying on resumes. Have you found that in your line of business, at that tier?
Diana, I always tell people, resumes have been broken since Adam handed Eve his resume. And basically, I'll use the same thing. People have been lying on resumes since Adam handed Eve his resume. It's so friggin' broken. Hiring is so broken because, you know, like all data, resumes are garbage in, right? Garbage out, right? AI is hopefully one of the big things I think that's going to happen with AI is it's going to expose the garbage in problem across all these industries because all these tech companies are sitting on mountains of data, and right now they can blame it on hallucinations and blame it on the AI, but AI is going to get pretty good, and then it's going to be like the robots are going to say, and AI is going to say, it's not us anymore, it's the data. So everybody lies. I mean, I constantly catch guys two, three, four times a year. I meet with them, and I got their new resume, and they're smiling, and they're happy to meet me at the St. Regis in the city in San Francisco, and I pull out their old resume from a couple years ago, and I can just tell right away they get so nervous, and I I have fun with them actually. I'm like, I catch these guys lying all the time. 2 years ago they were at 110%, and now they're at 134% of their annual quota for the same year, and I'm just like, and I just kind of have fun with them, and they say, the company came back and I got comped on that extra deal. I'm like, listen, don't even go there. Okay. I know the deal. Been doing this for, 2 decades. So it's a big problem. Resumes are broken. People get the sales guys, especially reps, sales engineers tend to be more honest. But the reps, they spin everything, right? And the problem with resumes is nobody's policing it. And, that's what we do with the rep sheet. My new company is we actually certify W-2s on sales reps and sales engineers, Diana, because
Can you explain what a W-2 means for you in your world?
yeah, W-2 is what, the government, what a sales rep's, the form that a sales rep, their compensation that they make for the year. So if a sales rep is say on 150 base, 300 OTE, if they attain 100% of their annual quota, they're paid 300K. So if they overachieve, they hit their accelerators on their comp plan, they might bring in a $500,000. So their W-2, and I have these guys hold up their W-2s and they jiggle them around, and I have to figure out if they're making, 500K or, whatever. But yeah, so
Oh, okay,
what we
understood.
figured out in my clients, if reps have consistently made a lot of money in the past, for 3, 4, 5 years, they're going to highly likely make the same money or more going forward. It's one of the best ways to gauge a top enterprise rep. And even with sales engineers, the same thing, because sales engineers are usually supporting two or three, you know, top reps. So if the top reps are crushing it, they're also hitting their, variable pay. And it's a little harder, to tell with sales engineers because they don't have as much variable pay. But, um, I could show some examples if you'd like on resumes and things, Diana. I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys.
let's keep that towards the end, and it's something that we can definitely attach. We do have a couple questions in the chat. This question comes from Ken L. What percent of resumes actually get past a company's ATS and in front of an actual person to review or see? So that's something that might be
0.000009 with the infinity on top. It's a waste.
wow.
Don't do it. I tell people all the time, the ATS systems were invented to make money for software companies. And when people can just check buttons and have their resume sent to 1,000 companies, when I was an in-house sales recruiter, 15 years ago, I had no time, and all the other recruiters, we had no time to dig into the ATS systems because we were consistently hit with employee referrals. I used to have these SDR, young guns, they're making 30, 40K a year, and they're handing me resumes every day saying, "Hey, Mark, hey, this is a great sales guy." And we're paying them $5,000 for an employee referral, and the kid's making 30K a year. Do you think he wants to go skiing and or snowboarding in Tahoe? These guys, and I had to interview them because my boss was always saying, the founder of the companies, here's the problem with a lot of founders is, they always think that the first 100 employees are tremendously talented and, they're A plus plus people. But what happens is a few clowns will slip in and the A's will bring in the B's and the B's bring in the C's, and what happens is the talent goes down. But ATS systems are just broken, right? And everybody, how do you get a job? You go top down. Send your resume to a founder. It's so easy to do. And every founder of a company, especially if it's a startup or an A or B round company, they're named Diana at XYZ.com, right? You just have to figure out if it's .com or .ai or whatever, IO or whatever, but right? If it's a bigger company, the second major email format is, first name dot last name, Mark.Stevenson at softbanator.com. That's
Mhm.
my Indian partner, by the way. I had to get them in. But
Yeah. So basically, instead of just applying to jobs through the link, just find that person or find an in somehow and do a
definitely,
call.
it's I tell people all the time, if you're gonna go the traditional route, you know how hard it is to luckily get something pulled out of an ATS system if someone, someone does do it for some reason, and then you have to go through 2 or 3 rounds of interviews and what have you. I tell I tell people all the time, the sales rep calls me up and says, Mark, I'm not getting any interviews. I said, why don't you go figure out what conventions are in town at the Moscone Center in the Bay Area, like San Francisco, the Moscone Center. You got 25 interviews with VPs of engineering, VPs of sales engineering, or CROs. They're just sitting there. They're bored at these trade shows, right? And oh, I can't get into the Moscone. It's costing me $2,000. I said, okay, well, why don't you go hang out at the St. Regis or the Marriott, or every company nowadays always has booths at the hotels, and people are standing around, right? They're trying to sell you something, but what you just show up and I always do the same thing when I'm looking for business for my companies. I just go to the trade shows. I go to the Moscone Center. Every booth is the same thing, right? If it's a bigger booth, the perimeter, the people defending it on the outside, usually there's an outer perimeter of professional models or whatever. Avoid those people because they don't even know what company they're at that day. They'll always be looking for an SDR. I go right to the sales development rep, and I hide my badge and I just stick out my hand and say, "Hey, what's your company about?" And they go into their little elevator pitch. I'll dismiss that dude in about 30 seconds. And I always look for the guy hiding in the background or the lady in the background. They're always about age 40 to 50, and they don't want to talk to people because they're waiting for their clients or something. And I go up to them and I hand them my a rep sheet, which I use more than resumes, and I stick it under their chin. And what you got to do is stick it there and hold it there. And if they don't grab it, don't move it, right? Eventually they will grab it, right? And then they look at it and they're like, what's this, Mark? And I tap the numbers and I say, those are my certified W-2s. And they look down and they look up and they look down and they go, is this you? And I go, no, it's one of my clients that I work with, one of my top enterprise reps or one of my top sales engineers. And they look again and they go, yeah, Mark, let's talk next week. I can't talk now. And then I move on to the next booth. And that's how hard it's to get that meeting. If I go the traditional route, if I send email and then kind of go through the process, you can do the same thing with, I've told people to do it, guys that do it, you know, It's just have fun with it, right? It's a game, you know. Like don't go sitting, don't look at Indeed job descriptions. Let's face it, some of my clients, you know, I've got clients in the Bay Area, you know, they got 100 jobs posted, and you know how many they're actually hiring for? Like 10, if that. They all play the same game. If I don't have enough jobs posted, I look like I'm not growing, right? My VC is yelling at me, post more jobs, you know, so it's a freaking game that's going on. So you got to game it to your favor.
So looking at the at my little circle of themes, I think we're back. We're going to the be seen, be found theme. So the creativity part is critical in the sea of
Yeah.
hiring. Um, so the one thing that jumps out at me is one of the themes that I wanted to bring up is resumes and hiring managers having a hard time validating some of the soft skills and hard skills and being able to be creative with not just how you present your skills and your experience and those soft skills and the your technical skills is being creative with how you present yourself and being able to go out there and having um, the sass to go out there and present something like that, present yourself in such a way that you stand out. And Svetlana, you had a question in the chat about how can I stand out when sending my resume, making that good first impression. On top of hundreds of people already applying for one single vacancy, this might be a good way of standing out and being that the diamond in the rough. Um,
Exactly. You know,
um,
you got to be super aggressive, right? I mean, we're sales engineers, we're sales reps, right? You got to be aggressive for both jobs. Obviously, sales hunters, enterprise reps are more aggressive, right? But if sales engineers are tough to figure out, right? Because they're a hybrid person. Half of them are, you got to find the person that's super technical, but they also have to be charismatic and have a great personality and know how to take over a demo and, you know, answer, be the smartest guy in the room, right? Let's face it. After 5 minutes of a demo, the sales rep disappears with the CEO for lunch, and then the sales engineer takes it over. And they should be paid more money. Unfortunately, this world, a sales engineer will make 180K base, and you know they'll get their 20% variable. And most of the time, they're getting paid out at 100% of their MBOs or you know their variable pay. And the reps are making 4, 5, 800K, whatever, right? And that's just crazy. They come to me all the time. Mark, I want to get over to sales. Can you get me over? And I'm like, are you sure you want to go over there? You don't know what it's like to be a rep, right? They all think it's easy. The stuff that goes on, they're closing business at 10 o'clock at night. You know, it's hard. It's stressful to be on an annual quota, variable pay, half your pay tied to a number. You know, a lot of them come back to me and they go, Mark, biggest mistake I made was crossing over. You know, I want to come back to an SE, you know, and a lot of them do. You know, it's a whole nother animal,
yeah.
you know, and it's something I think SE should be paid a lot more. They should be paid, you know, instead of being paid 200K a year, they should be paid like 3 or 4, and the reps should maybe make just a little bit more, but not much more. But it's crazy that, you know, the disproportion that they make. Sorry to digress, but I
No,
get
no,
into
no. That's all great information, especially for folks that are in SC roles and looking to jump over. The one thing that I didn't want to bring up is around online certifications. There are a lot of there was a research around Coursera looking at their courses. There's 142 million learners in 2023 reporting Coursera alone. Now, adding that LinkedIn and all the other platforms. So there's a lot of people going and getting certified because certifications look good on resumes. Um, but there's a lot of hiring managers that are having a hard time um, validating that against real world value. Do you see a lot of certifications in your field in sales engineering that people are getting those and actually being useful in the field versus actual the knowledge that people have that might not have certifications, and how do you validate some of those technical skills when you get sales engineers on your as clients?
Certifications are very important because, it basically means you're an expert in a particular industry, right? So the SE, let's pick an industry like, I don't know, networking, okay? A lot of Cisco certifications are very important for networking, or Google certifications are very important. Being certified by so-and-so dry cleaners, that's not important, right? There's a million of everybody's certifying everything, right? But you got to get the big company names in your industry, right? So if you're going to be in cybersecurity, you want to be, I don't even know if they got them, but I'm sure Palo Alto Networks and all the big guys, Google Cloud, whatever. But it's important because what's the SE's job? The SE job is to answer the toughest question in the room, because the rep is an orchid. They're beautiful and they're just, they're delicate. They're fragile people that you get them out of the SE has to manage the clock, right? If you're in a demo for half an hour, you get the rep out of the room as quick as you can. That's what the SE's got to do. Go to lunch with the CEO, okay? Go bond, go talk sports, whatever. I got to get in the room and close the VP of engineering or the CTO or the CISO. And the only way you get the respect of the VP of engineering is that, they're a technical VP of engineering, smart, and you got to be able to go head to head with them. And they'll look on your LinkedIn sometimes during the meeting, not before, but during the meeting, probably when they're listening to the sales clown up there talking, regurgitating what they already know. Um, but they'll respect a CCIE or all these certifications from Cisco. They're so important. They really are. They're hard to get. So, but there's certain ones that are easy to get. Those aren't worth the value. But when I talk to a sales engineer on the phone, I don't drill into their technical chops, because I'm not 99% of, outside recruiters are not technical. Same thing with the first, second, or, all recruiters are not really technical. Very few, maybe 5% of them are, but most of them are just, I don't even go there when I'm talking to those guys. It just annoys them if I try to pretend I know something. I know two sentences about every company, right? But that's about it. So all I'm trying to do on a 30-minute phone screen, and the same thing with in-house sales recruiters, is, does the person have a personality? Are they fun? Or do they answer the question I ask? Are they have they been at good companies? And I want them to take over the call. Calls should always be conversational. Like, a lot of times I'll ask a question, like, what color is the sky? What's the answer I'm looking for? I want, the sky is blue, Mark. Two other sentences about whatever, back it up. And then ask me a question like, okay, Mark, here's the killer question as a sales engineer. What's the median W-2 for your top enterprise reps the last 2 years? Tell me what the top rep at the company's made the last 2 years. Because then if they can answer that, they all know that data, right? They all have it, especially the chief revenue officer, the VP of sales. The VP of sales engineering should know it too. Yeah, if we have 100 reps at the company, I want to know what the guy number 50 made, the guy in the middle, right? Because they'll always start, if they don't have that number, if the reps in the middle are not making money, they'll, hey, Joe's driving a new McLaren. Oh my God, new Porsche, that new Ferrari that's like, 800, whatever. They'll talk about one guy, right? Or one lady, but they won't, I want to know,
What the middle guy's doing.
with all due respect, I'm glad that guy's got a killer Porsche and I want one too, like him. But what's the guy in the middle making, Joe? And just be real clear. And if they have the data, they'll take you aside and tell you this. Or I even tell my clients, I'm like, listen, I just told the SE to ask that question. So here's how you're going to close him, is hide column A in the spreadsheet with all the names and show them the data. Okay. Spin the monitor around when you're face to face and say, listen, you come here, these guys are crushing it. This is the amount of money that they're making, right? And if you have a sales engineer supporting two or three reps, right? If the reps are having fun and making a lot of money, life is easy as a sales engineer. If the reps are not making money, life is completely the opposite. They drive you crazy, right? So make sure that they're making money, or do not go to a company. That's all I can say.
Very good. Very good advice. I'm going to stop you for a second. There's a question in the chat. And this is more about more of a resume type of a question and kind of best practice. Um, in He's originally from Europe. I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's he said I'm over there. It's totally normal to put a photo in your resume. When I came to the US, I was told it's a big no. But now with everyone having a photo on LinkedIn anyway, is it still the case or has it changed at all?
You really don't want to put a photo on the resume in the US because it's not just not really the norm. In the course of a year, if I get, 500 resumes or so, just throwing that number out there, maybe, five of them will have photos, and it's usually a sales hunter. It'll be an enterprise rep, um, because he's paid 500 or $1,000 for some marketing PhD consultant to redo their resume, and they have these formats that are all look like they're colorful and everything. And I'm like, listen, how much did you pay for this resume, and where are the numbers? Okay, you're a pretty guy, I like it, but put your picture on LinkedIn. Here's the problem with LinkedIn, right? The hardest question is like, was the picture taken in 2002 when LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman first went to a VC and said, I got this, I'm in whatever, he started the company? Or is it 10 years or is it a recent picture? In my head, I always I try to figure out as an outside recruiter, I'm trying to figure out how old is a person, right? So the easiest way to tell is when did they graduate from college, right? Everybody in the US graduates from college at say like the age of 21 or 22. I can't do math well, so I just say 20. So I do the math, right? They graduated in 2000, the year 2000, and this happens to be 2025 now, so it's 25 plus 20. They're 45 years old, right? So the hardest part on LinkedIn is when I look at the great, if they don't have the year that they graduated, I have to sit there and go, okay, Mark, did the person not graduate or are they just old and hiding it, right? So it's always one of the two. And I get them on the phone, and the first thing I say is, listen, I'm not HR, I'm not the people department. I'm going to save you a lot of time. I can get you a lot of money, but my clients want somebody between the age of 30 and 40. That's reality. That's why they're paying outside recruiters. All outside recruiters do, unfortunately, in this world, is we have to discriminate on everything for the most part, because that's why clients hire us. They want to most, I shouldn't say most, every chief revenue officer is not, they have completely different priorities than HR. Their priority is one number. They have a number. They got to bring in $100 million of revenue. And the only way they get the club and keep their job is if they make their number, right? People department, they got their own agenda, right? So that's why they pay us, right? Because they don't, they always come to me and they're like, Mark, my 50-year-old recruiters like sending me 55-year-old guys, and they're killing me because I need a 30-year-old dude who's knows enough, but he's got two young kids. He's got to pay his college bills, and he's got to make a ton of money, and he's going to run through walls for me, and he's going to get on a plane on a Friday and go to a meeting and not sitting in his warm, cozy cabin with a dog at his foot, and do a Zoom info, right? That's the difference between, I'm 55 years old, so I'm getting discriminated now. I was pitching my company rep sheet at an angel event yesterday, and these guys are looking at me like, Mark, you're 55 years old, you're doing champion recruiting. How come you're doing rep sheet now? I said, I wouldn't be able to fix sales resumes 25 years ago when I was a young gun, right? Because I didn't know how badly things are broken. When I've spent the last 13 years listening to salespeople BS me every single day about how great they are and why their numbers are what they are and what have you, you start to realize how broken the system is, right? I mean, it's broken. Hiring's broken everywhere, right?
And that's
When,
and that's the thing about experience in different fields too, is,
yeah.
you know,
Sorry, I babble a lot, but I
no, no,
could
no, this is all great information that we all kind of, sometimes we don't know what we don't know.
I tell it
So
like it is,
true.
The good news about being a founder and having your own company is no one can fire you. So I say whatever the hell I want. And in recruiting, outside recruiting, I don't have to make 1,000 companies happy. I just have to make like 50 or 100, clients happy because those are the guys that pay the bills, right? I play in, you know, outside recruiters play in this niche, right? And everybody has to like, I get all these, everybody always thinks, if you're a B or C player, don't even go in the direction of outside recruiters. Like, be honest with yourself, right? And just say, hey, listen, um, I'm the world needs B and C players, right? And how do you get a job as a B and C player? You basically can still go top down, send your emails to founders. And you know what founders always do? They're good for three letters in an email, FYI. They always forward your email if it comes from a founder down to the VP of engineering or VP of sales engineering. And then when you get the VP of engineering on the phone, you know what he or she is trying to figure out? They're trying to figure out, Diana, how do you know Joe? How do you know my founder? Right? So you got to hold them hostage on the call. You don't tell in the first 30 seconds, like, oh, I just sent my email to the founder, and they'll get out of it as quick as they can, which is usually 10 minutes, right? You got to hold him hostage. Like, Joe's a great guy. He's so charismatic. I love him. Everybody loves Joe. The reason I like your company is the product's amazing. And if I came over, I made my numbers as a sales engineer the last 3 years. XYZ. I've been supporting the two of the top hunters. I've basically closed three or four of their big deals for the year. And I've been paid out at my MBOs at 100% the last 3 consecutive years. I've gone to club. The prior job before that one, the same thing. I went to club every year, blah, blah, blah. Talk numbers. Like sales engineers are always very humble. And I always have to, even if they're super talented, I will spend time a little bit coaching them on the interview because I got to tell them, like, listen, you're such a nice guy. You got to brag a little bit, right? I tell them, like, listen, just, sales guys brag every friggin' minute of their day, right? People are sick and tired of it, right? But, it's like you got to be a little bit aggressive and brag about how great you are. So you got to talk about your numbers because all we're trying to do is figure out, are you an A, B, or C player? And everyone always puts their job responsibilities on their resume, right?
Ooh, and that's a good topic. So
Drives me
keep
nuts,
saying about
man.
that.
Yeah, because like, does everybody in this world know what a sales engineer does? My mother even knows what a sales engineer does. It's crazy, but they'll put five bullets at the top saying, I do demos and, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll put a couple, two achievements. So I always tell people, the difference between a job responsibility and an achievement? Separate the two. And I even tell them to put the achievements at the top. I've got resume formats, I can share if you want, show, I always tell, a lot of times I show and not tell, but if you want me to share my screen, I can. If not, I can talk. You tell me, what would you like, Diana?
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna ask the room. Would you guys like to see a sample resume? Say yes or no.
My mom out there? My mom, vote yes. I told her to attend the call. She doesn't think I'm on podcast, so
If anyone wants to see a sample resume, yes, I see a one yes, I see a heart. Yeah, let's do it. Why don't you share a sample resume? I think that if people would love to see that.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do I even share
So
my
I'm gonna stop sharing and then you start sharing.
That's the problem. Got it. Okay.
Awesome. There we go.
All right. Share my screen. Um, Let me go with my screen. Which one do I want to share here? Let me pull up a really good resume I found the other day. It's this lady right here,
Read this.
Stella. Okay. Well, first of all, can you guys see all this?
Yes.
This is what Stella, and she's a pretty high level, she's a friend of one of my VPs of sales. It's his wife. We redid her resume for her. I did it for myself because she's a heavy hitter. But this is what she sent me. And Mark, I'm not getting a lot of hits. I said, because it's an eye chart. I can't even read this. I go right to the bottom a lot of times with resumes. Okay, you went to Rutgers, you got Cal Berkeley, you're pretty smart, you got a master's, Accenture, no numbers, really. I move on, I'm looking 3 years at Accenture, Yahoo, 5 years, really not a lot of numbers. Twilly, great company. She's not a job hopper. She's been at big companies. She's not a small company rep. I never read. I look at this executive profile, and the only thing my eyes see as a sales recruiter is I see one number, 18. That's all I ever see. I don't read words because words are not sales. I never read these sections because they're just generic. I'm looking, I told her, I remember telling this lady, I said, you don't have any numbers. So I used to charge 500 bucks to redo resumes. I sent them to people in Latin America. They'd come back. I'd make like 498 bucks on it, but that wasn't our core business. But so this is what I want on resumes. Tell recruiters the exact job you want, the size of the company, and where, San Francisco or remote. I tell them four things. Tell me the job title, the industry, the size of the company, and the location in the job description. Most recruiters are morons out there. I hate to say it, but I walked every college campus I've ever been on in America. There's a school of business, there's a law school, there's a school of medicine. I've never seen a school of recruiting, right? No one goes to school to be a friggin' recruiter, right? We washed out as something, right? You know, if you look at my profile, you won't see any companies I've been fired at, but I got shot down at a couple of companies, but that's the world, we all do it, right? No one puts, you get taken out, you don't put it on your resume. It's just the world we live in, right? So I digress, but you got to link to their LinkedIn so you can see the person. Why do recruiters click to LinkedIn? We want to see how old the person is because that's what we do with pictures. We look at, I hate to say it, but that's what recruiters do, in-house recruiters as well. Achievements are very important, between the objective and the achievements and looking at the first company and how long you've been there. I've already made a decision to pass you along, yes or no, for the most part, right? I wanted to look at the achievements. What have you done? Like I said, Stella, you've averaged three promotions at great companies and you got Berkeley. Let's stress it out, right? So we did that for her. And then, but this is a generic format that we used to do, Diana, I showed it to you yesterday on the prep call, but, tell people a clear objective and list your achievements. And then, if I go down a bit, here's a little achievements and responsibilities, but we even have I even did a sample because people were still not being able to connect the dots. So here's a sample of what I like. Sorry about this. Okay. Clear objective and your achievements. As a sales recruiter, even with a sales engineer, what have you summarized each year of your career in one line? If you can't do that, you're not an A plus player or an A, right? If you got to, the more words I see on a resume, the more B or C you are, right? The best resumes are one page with nothing but numbers, even two pages with numbers. I tell guys all the time, take off your responsibilities even. I found one the other day. Where is it? I did one for someone. I had nothing but achievements, right? I just took off all the responsibilities. You know what? When I see responsibilities or a bullet that looks like I don't even, my brain doesn't even read it, right? So all I care about are numbers, right? This tells me everything I want right here, right? Tell me what percentage of your annual quota. I always want to know annual quota. I don't want to know what you did for the month. Everybody can get lucky 1 month of the year. Everybody can get lucky 3 months of the year and have a great quarter. What did you do for the year, right? So if you happen to be a sales engineer, Mark, I don't have an, yeah, you do. You have a team quota, right? You're supporting two sales reps. If one sales rep does 100% of their number and the other guy does 150% of the number, you know what your number is? You did 125% of their quota for the year. Take credit for what the two reps you support do. That's your number. You also got paid out at 100% of your MBL. And I also, most chief revenue officers, they're always like, Mark, what size quotas are these people carrying? I want to know if they go from 500K to 800, that's a mistake. There should be a K, but 2 to 4 to 5 million. You see how the quotas are increasing in size? That tells me like the guy, because if the guy's carrying or she's carrying a $7 million quota, I can put her on an $8 million quota. I cannot put her on a $15 million quota. And if I put her on a $1 million quota, it would insult her, right? So that's what it tells me, but it's always missing on resumes. And this number is missing half the time. When a sales rep's been at a company for 5 years, half the time they give me three numbers. And you know what I have to do as a recruiter? I get them on the phone and I say, hey, congrats. I tell them how great they are. I tell them how, great company, blah, blah, blah. Hey, what did you do in 2022? There's no number there. What happened? Well, Mark, the product wasn't ready. I said, okay. What about the next year? You don't have a number there. Well, they changed my boss. All right. What about the next year? They fired the boss. Too many excuses, right? So they're not a stud, right? Something happened, right? It's risk, and risk equals what? No hire. All hiring is about minimizing risk, right? When a company misses on an enterprise rep, it's $1 million mistake. It's whatever the opportunity cost of the quota. Most enterprise reps ballpark or put on $1 million annual number. Now, companies make these mistakes all the time. It's unbelievable how much money they're making. So we've come up with this thing called the W-2 sheet, and especially for sales reps, this is what I use. We certify W-2s on reps. Nobody is doing this. This is all the pain points I have with hiring for the last 15 years, right? During
This
COVID.
comes around to what we talked about right at the
Yeah.
beginning,
So
going back
this is
to
the
show me the numbers kind of a thing.
It's real simple. And I didn't build this. I went to like 10 of my clients during COVID, and I said, listen, Joe, you've been complaining to me every time I send you a resume, you tell me to go back and get this number. One client told me, Mark, give me some visibility into why they've left each company. So we added that section. You know, I always want a clear objective. So we don't ask them to put a position wanted. They have to do it no matter what. We force the data. Only top 25% of sales engineers get an SE sheet. Only the top 25% of reps get a rep sheet. The bottom 75%, I usually send them the champion recruiting format that I just showed you. You can kind of do the same thing. But so this is the summary section, right? 4 things I look for to help us out because every recruiter wants laser focus, right? The biggest mistake everybody makes on resumes is they try to run with one resume and they want a generic. You got to run with 2 or 3 resumes if you're trying to do 2 different things. Be laser focused. Tell me the exact job title you want, the industry, this company size, and the location. This summary section right here, you know how long it takes me to add this up on a resume? It takes me 5 minutes and I'm good at it. You know how hard it is to figure out if a rep is a hunter or a farmer? You know how hard it is to figure out how many years they're closing business? Tell me the enterprise quotas that they've carried. Tell me their years of total experience in sales, whether it's inside or outside. Tell me if they're an individual hunter or are they actually managing people? Too many people are running with SE managers and they're just a freaking individual SE, right? Tell me the industry experience. Like, what industry do you have? It's real simple. This says so every rep gets the same exact format. It's a standardized format. The only thing that changes is the numbers, and we certify the W-2s. I have clients of mine, some guys just look for the green numbers because if reps have consistently made a lot of money in the past, they're going to make a lot of money in the future. They're going to get the CRO to club. They're going to make their number, and it's that simple. Some guys look for this number. They like percentage of annual quota, right? Some guys want to look at clubs. I don't really look at clubs as much because clubs at different companies mean different things. I tend to look at the money first. And it's real simple. The reps docu-sign it, and I docu-sign at the bottom too that a third-party company has actually certified W-2s before you even interview. This is what you can have in the future. You know,
Wow.
I pull any client I want for recruiting with this right now. Sorry to brag a little bit, but
Huh?
we're in the market for sales engineers. So if you're a sales people are like, Mark, do you have them for sales engineers? And yeah, we do. Here's all you got to do is go to the website, get yourself a free SE sheet. We've got them in 10 years, and I haven't really shown you one yet, but here's a Tenure sales engineer sheet. Let me just open it up here. If you don't mind my bragging, Diana, give me another
Not at
minute.
all, not at all. We are at 11:45 Central. So we do have some time for additional questions. And I do have 5 minutes that I'd like to kind of just wrap up at the end.
Okay,
Um,
30
to get-
seconds. That's all I need.
no, no,
All,
no, perfect.
all
But I
the
just want
SE
to kind of
sheet
give a
is
little.
Diana, all they are is they're customized for sales reps. You know, we ask for subject matter expert. We were talking about certifications. Like I mentioned CCIE on the call. This is a Cisco security. 10 years they've had that license. 5 years they have CCIE for data center.
Mhm.
That tells the VP of or the sales engineer VP that they've got the chops to be going head to head in networking. This is important. I added how many years of presenting to C-level people. This person is comfortable 5 years presenting to C-level, right? You never see it on a resume, right? 13
Mhm.
people.
Okay. So this goes back to what I was saying about how do you validate some of the soft skills, the hard skills, the technical skills, and this is years of experience, and that
And
speaks volumes.
we were talking about team quotas, right? You know, look at the numbers. Every sales engineer, you know, I get them all the time. They're like, Mark, I'm not on any numbers. And I'm like, well, yeah, you are. You're on MBOs for sure, right? So that's one number. And you're usually on a team annual quota, or you should be on it. So take credit for if your two reps are brought in 152% that you support, that's your number, right? And I also add the GPAs for like SEs. What do I look for when I want a top SE? If my client went to MIT, he's a pedigree lady. She's going to hire pedigree, so they better go to an Ivy League or something. And if they go to a state school, I'm always looking for a high GPA. I want majors that have some chops. I want computer science, math, electrical engineering. I don't want to see economics or business for a sales engineer because they're not going to get respected by a VP of engineering. They have to be an engineer by trade that kind of washes out of engineering. You know, their code might not be tight. You know, they're usually they talk too much or they're too outgoing and they get recruited because some sales chief revenue officer says, you know, that engineer, she would be a killer SC. I want her on my team. I can pay her twice as much. Bring her over. That's how they get recruited to sales engineering. Those are the people I go after. Female SCs are as good as gold because they don't exist. 10% of females are reps, maybe 5% of females are SEs. It's so rare because, you know, hard enough to be an engineer going, you know, getting a double E and then to actually, you know, I don't know, it's just hard, right? They're rare. So, all right, I spoke too long. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. You take it over, Diana. Let's get some.
Yeah, let's get wrapped up. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. This is amazing. I think everyone has seen something that is unique to for them to have under their belts as they start thinking about their resumes and how to put their numbers together if they're looking for that. If you do have any more additional questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. Um, I will reshare my screen. Give me just one second. If I can find
You
my.
know, by the way, NAASE is great. You know, I've been doing these calls for the last couple of years, and
Yes.
it's a lot of value. You know, I like the direction of the company. You know, that's where LinkedIn is going. Everything's going to be these little sales communities. You know, if you're a chief revenue officer, you're in Pavilion. If you're an enterprise hunter, you got your 3 or 4 or 5 sales communities. Same thing with SEs, but they're key because the problem with LinkedIn is like, you know, if I'm a sales guy, do I want to listen to engineers talk? No. Do engineers want to listen to all the salespeople on LinkedIn selling them something? No, they hate it, right? So that's the problem with LinkedIn. They're trying to do everything for everybody. And what happens in a world when you do everything for everybody? LinkedIn is going to be like Monster or Career Builder. They got a short shelf life, right? They're going to be toasting. They're already toast. Recruiters don't like LinkedIn anymore, right? You know, it became a social media site. Of course, they made a lot more money with it, but that's another story.
We do have one question. Does anybody compare the experience in the resume and in LinkedIn profile? That's coming from Al.
Definitely. You know, that's how I catch a lot of liars. And in fact, I have to always tell people, you're going to go to an interview tomorrow. Make sure your LinkedIn is the same as your
Resume.
resume. And they usually are not. There's always something wrong that they don't catch. So I even go back and look because I lose money if I don't do it because they forget to do it. And I always have to coach them on their LinkedIn profile too. I tell them like, listen, the about section at the top of LinkedIn? Here's what you do on the about section. Put the clear objective that you want, list your best three career achievements, one, two, and three, and list your phone number and your email, and the phone will ring off the hook because half the time recruiters are looking at your profile and they're not connected to you, so they can't see you. I'm sorry, they can't see your email or your phone number. And they forget or they go to something else. They bounce around too much, right? So if they're looking to call you at that point in time, oh, no, no, Mark, my phone number and my email, it's in the contact section of LinkedIn. Yeah, that's great, but you're not a first connection to that person. So make it easy for recruiters to find you. You got to use that about section to advertise how great you are. You know what most people do? They put like some generic profile that, Mark was at this company 10 years and he's an executive in sales management. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone, A, B, and C, D people do that, right? How are you an A player, right? You got to brag, right? So that's your place to brag. It's your summary brag. Shouldn't be called about. It should be called summary. It should be called your summary, your career achievement summary or something, whatever, right?
You keep it short, but brag about it. And then how about like the bottom part where you have your experience? Can you have as much stuff? Al also mentions
Yeah.
that I have to keep my resume short and my LinkedIn can have as many items as I want.
No,
Do
it should be the same. I always tell people like, get rid of your responsibilities. What do I look for in that section on LinkedIn? I want someone to be in the Bay Area. They got to be at a job for 3 years or more. 2 years is a job hopper. 1 year is horrible. 3 years, 3 to 5 years is good. If they've been hanging around at a company for 10 years, I expect to see two or three promotions or they're just a career person, right? But, I love to see, two or three jobs. The last two jobs with 3 years or more each, 3 to 5 years each. And then for bullets, I want to see like, 3 to 5 achievements and that's it, right? And they should match the resume completely, right? Just make sure that they're the same exact bullets. Mark, I can't put my numbers. My company won't let me put my numbers on LinkedIn. I said, your company doesn't even look at your LinkedIn profile, Joe, right? Here's the deal. You're looking for a job, right? You just told me your company is about to cut you, right? And companies, you got to brag on LinkedIn, right? So put your numbers up there. I can tell if reps are lying to me half the time because they'll put their fake numbers on their resume. And then on LinkedIn, they don't want to put their numbers. I've got a top sales rep now. He's got, 8 clubs in like the last 10 years, and he doesn't want to upgrade to a W-2 sheet because he doesn't want to show me he's telling me he's making 700K a year, but, telling me is one thing, showing me is another, right? So, that's how I can kind of, figure these dudes out. But I
what
hope we
about putting company names? Like like companies that you've closed deals with or
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, man. In the last 15 years, if I took equity at some of these companies we worked with, like App Dynamics and PagerDuty and Mongo and, I mean, Arctic Wolf Networks, they had 10 guys at an incubator, 15, maybe 13, 10 years ago or so, placed, 3 or 4 reps with them. They move. Here's what happens. Most outside recruiters work with startups, A and B round companies, because that's where we get the fees. I always get, after landing 3 or 4 reps at a company, they introduce me to the new in-house sales recruiter, and that's basically my pink slip to get fired, right? So I just say, thank you very much, but I'll catch you on the next startup, Mr. CRO, and I go back to square one, and that's just the way the world works, right? So, but I've always got some interesting clients. I've got them listed on my champion recruiting. There's 50 of them. So, what I tell my hunters is like, listen, why do you want to work with me? Listen, I'm one-stop shopping. You talk to me once for 30 minutes as a top enterprise rep or a top SE. You don't have to talk to 50 in-house sales recruiters. One-stop shopping, right? I'm your first and second round. If you're good, I make you great because I improve your resume. I present you with a rep sheet. I talk you into a W-2 sheet. I give it to you for free. I'm not looking to make $100. We sell I don't want to get into rep sheet, but the bottom line is my job is to, assist people, right? That's all we do is assist. The sales engineer has to be talented to begin with. All we do is, we might add a little wax to the Porsche. They're already a Porsche or they're already a Ferrari. All we do is polish it up and we put some good gas in it and we tell you, don't peel out around the corners and don't go crazy. This is what you got to say kind of thing. That's all we do. And we get paid pretty well, by the way. But anyway,
Well, thank you so much for all the advice, all the knowledge share. This has been a wonderful session. I know I learned a lot. I'm hoping that everyone else here has learned a lot today, and I appreciate everyone sticking around to the end. I just wanted to share a little bit about now about our memberships here. If you have not already checked out our website, salesengineering.org for NAASE, we have some membership opportunities. As you can see, we have a classic membership. If you're a student and you would like to join, we also have a membership for you. And then corporate memberships, we love giving those as well. So please check us out, join us. You have opportunities to have access to our members as well. So I'm Diana Diaz Cervantes, president. Please feel free to reach out to me. And any of our members are available for you guys if you reach out to me and be able to connect. So that's one of the membership opportunities. Mark, if you have any closing remarks, I'm sure you have.
no, I always have something to say, but you caught
Keep it
me in a
short. We
one.
have a couple more minutes until we close off.
I'm good for the most part. All I tell people is like, listen, 2024 was an election year. If you're out of work, and let's face it, most people that are on podcasts, they're either looking for a new job or um, that's pretty much what they do, right? You're not, if you're working, you're pretty much demoing, right? So listen, don't blame yourself. I had a guy yesterday. Okay, he's one of my best SEs I'm working with now. He's got an SE sheet. He went to MIT. He had 7 rounds of interviews, and the company told him, it's now through me. I don't know the name of the company, but he said the recruiter said he got A's on all of them, but they still haven't offered him a job. And I said, John, tell me the name of the company because I want to know if they're just screwing around with you or what. Maybe I know somebody there. I don't even care. I'm not going to get paid, but maybe I can assist somehow. But the stuff that's going on, the economy is picking up. I've two reps I know got jobs in January. Another guy just got a job last week, so it's picking up big time now. Sales hiring is very front loaded. It's like tax season, right? It's always 4 months of the year for the most part. 90% of my hiring is done like in 4 or 5 months. February, March, April, May. Those are the big months. The January is a wash of a year. If they're on a calendar year, they come back from the year. They go to club for the month. Most sales guys take January off. That's their month of relaxation, and they haven't even got their comp plans yet, right? So by February, middle of February, they're getting their comp plan. They're pushing back on their number, what have you. So what usually happens is the chief revenue officer realizes he's got to hire, 20 more reps for the year to make his number or sales engineers, right? So then they start panicking and then they start, pounding and hiring is all timing. So right now is time to get picked up right now. I tell people in the second half of the year, just rest up, okay? You're swimming upstream from July to December, getting a job in sales. It's so front loaded and people never know how loaded it is. It's all about timing. Yeah, people get hired in the second half, companies fire a few people, they have to reset comp plans, what have you. But the majority of hiring, let's face it, people get fired and hired all the time. You have to have thick skin in sales and even as a sales engineer. I mean, it's tough out there. It's brutal. I mean, it's like that's why tech pays so well, right? I mean, it's like, it's hardcore, right? So all
Well,
I,
if you're
never
part of
you.
if
If
you're
you don't
part of
get hired by a company, it's never you, right? You can't, don't sit there at night and dwell on it. What did I say wrong? I used to do this myself when I didn't get a job. And then when I came to the recruiting side and I see the shit that goes on, people, sometimes companies hire and they'll bring 10 people in for rounds of interviewing, what have you. the boss already knows who he's going to hire. He's going to hire Mary from another division, but the company makes him hire other people. And I always, it drives me nuts because they're just wasting everybody's time and money. And they're playing with people's minds and their self-esteem. And it just happens all the time. And I don't know why these companies, if an executive wants to hire an exec from a different division, why do they have to go and interview all these other candidates? It's just it's just broken, right? It's just stupid HR people department politics, and it happens all the time, and it drives sales guys nuts because sales guys live most salespeople don't like HR and most in-house sales recruiters. Where do in-house sales recruiters report to, Diana? They don't report to sales, they report to HR. And
Yeah.
that's why most chief revenue officers bring us in as outside people because they're sick and tired of like getting candidates that they don't want. They want a
Yeah.
guy or lady that makes their numbers, and it's that
Yeah.
simple.
So what we have to do is we have to help everyone kind of navigate that. So if you're part of NAASE, we're here for you and
Yep.
join
My
us.
my closing remarks are sales resumes are for you, Diana. Rep sheets and sales engineer sheets are for the buyer of you.
Perfect.
I'm out.
All right.
All right.
Let's close this up. Again, join us for the next one. Keep an eye out for our next event coming soon. Again, reach out to us if you need us. Join us for our memberships. There's lots of opportunities to network and have opportunities to meet other folks in your industry. We do have a certification to be a certified sales engineer. Look us up. Ask questions. I'm here to answer any questions. My email is in the
Certified sales engineers. I didn't realize
certified
you
sales
guys were doing that.
engineer.
You guys are certified sales engineers as well.
Yeah, we certify them. Yeah,
That's important, That's
yes.
no doubt. I didn't even know you guys
There's
were doing that.
yeah, we certify them. It's experience based. There's an interview. There's a demo that we have a panel that evaluates them.
Really?
Yeah. So
How
check us out
long?
on the
How
website
long?
and read
How
a little
long
bit
is the
more about
demo? Do I got to do 5 demos and then I get shot down? No, I'm
no,
kidding.
you got it. You do it. You do one demo, and then the panel evaluates you. There's a formal evaluation process, and there's an interview with someone you've worked with in the past. So
You know why that's good is because if you guys can get to the point where, NASE's like
yeah,
certification is the de facto
yeah,
one that, these sales engineers don't have to jump through hoops 50 times talking to 50 companies and doing 50 demos.
yeah.
It's just a waste of time, right? And, it's just,
So
it's
we're actually
one
going to
thing. I
improve
like it.
that process a little bit more this year to have a little bit more um, more not more technical based as well, in addition to the actual like experience of providing the demo. So a little bit more rigorous, but we're working on that a little bit more. But right now it's a process where we have a demo video recording and it goes through, so it's the actual demo itself, in addition to interview with some of the peers. So it's very peer evaluated as
And
well.
is it just a yes or no you got certified, or is it like this is the gold, silver, I'm sorry, black
Yeah,
tiger, gold
yeah,
tiger,
it's an experience-based validation. Yes.
experience based, but
Yeah. So
so
how long have
you're
you been?
differentiating the top tier from the middle tier from the bottom tier?
So that might be an option of how we could improve it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's actually good feedback. Good
That's
feedback.
what I would want, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, listen, dude,
Yeah.
yes or no
Great
is nice,
question.
but I'd rather have like it's not a stoplight, right? Green or
Yeah.
red. I want to know, you know, how great they are, right? That adds me
Okay.
a lot, right? And if I don't know, it's hard to do, but I don't know. Sorry, we can brainstorm
No,
another.
no, absolutely, absolutely. Great feedback. But yeah, so if you're interested in that certification, please look it up on our website. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us and we'd love to have a chat. So thanks everyone.
Great job. Thank you
Have a
very
wonderful
much,
afternoon.
everyone.
Thank you, Mark.